Eagles. Eagles.
Welcome in, everybody, to a Wednesday edition of Birds 365, prepping for the Eagles playoff game coming up on Sunday, 4:25 p.m. Eastern. Eagles versus Packers. Welcome in, everybody, to a Wednesday edition. Johnny Mac, how you doing on this Wednesday morning, brother?
Doing well. Finally playoffs are here, and well, today's a big day because Philadelphia either becomes panic stricken or everything is 100% okay.
Well, John, you've been telling the people here that there's nothing to worry about, okay? And I think that's great that all of our people are not worried because they listen to Birds 365. But if Jalen Hurts has another setback today or he's not cleared from the protocol, do we have the Johnny Mac stamp of we can worry now?
Oh yeah, you can feel free to, again, plan out what bridge and all that kind of stuff. Except for the Tanner McKee people. The Tanner McKee people are completely confident. They think Tanner McKee will step in and, destroy the Green Bay Packers. But for the more sensible, I would say, yeah, push the panic button.
Yeah, we'll see. What is the agenda today for the Birds? Obviously, you mentioned this is the big day. Everybody's waiting. What will the breakdown be? When do you expect to know whether Jalen's cleared from the protocol? Is it literally when you get there and you see if he runs out into the practice field, or will they give you any update before?
Well, Nick Sirianni's going to speak before practice, so I hope. I was a little bit surprised, if you want to go back to Week 18, that Nick admitted early that Saquon was going to rest. Pretty much.
Yeah.
So who knows? He might say, because this has gone too far. I don't know. I don't know why the Eagles handled it the way they did. It's just I can't even explain it. Just say rest. Bang. Have him out there. Say he's not going to play this week.
All right.
Do a few individual drills, and that's it. And everything would be fine. And you don't have all this nonsense outside the building. And then they pretend inside the building, oh, what's everybody upset about? We're just going through the protocol. I mean, shut up. Yeah, fans see other players around the league and how quickly they get cleared from the concussion protocol. And the ones who don't, like Tua, then it's more serious. So it's common sense that they would be a little bit upset or a little bit concerned, whatever word you want to use. So, the Eagles created this. Same as they created the stuff with the passing offense, and they can blame the media and the fans blame the media, blah, blah. Who cares? They created this. I'm the one trying to pull it back. Bunch of other people, but national people are the same way. They say, well, everybody's cleared by this point, so something must be wrong. Why wouldn't they think that?
It's true. And a piece of news there, they did waive Ian Book, which was the first tip of the hand, the tip of the cap to show you do need 3 quarterbacks, so they assume they're going to have 3 full quarterbacks healthy and ready to go this weekend, being Jalen Hurts, Kenny Pickett, and Tanner McKee. So I thought that was obviously your first sign, right, John?
Yeah. Because you have to have, if you want an emergency quarterback, the Eagles want to use that rule. They have to be on the 53-man roster. That's why they put Ian Book on the 53-man roster to begin with. So, yeah. That's a clear indication that he will be back, and he will be back. And, the Eagles should look in the mirror how they handle this stuff because they create issues that don't need to be created.
Is the goal that they have in mind, though, worth it to them in terms of –
I don't know what the goal is.
Yeah, I don't either. That's where I'm getting
at. Did they think Matt LaFleur's sitting out there in Green Bay and go, oh, I wonder who's going to play?
Yeah, right. because I mean, I think it doesn't. It could make sense that they don't really care about the perception of the media and the fan base. If that's what their approach is, that wouldn't surprise me. But you're right. I don't I don't think Matt LaFleur is game planning for Tanner McKee this week.
I guess they do. I guess
I
they
don't think
they're getting some weird kind of competitive advantage. I can't explain to you why they act the way they act, but it's dumb. It's not productive. It creates these narratives, and then 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 they'll behind the scenes they'll complain about so and so in the national media. It's your own fault. Players go through concussion protocol quickly unless there's a significant issue. So it stands to reason that people would be concerned.
Right.
Because they see other players, including other players on your own team. Now, all concussions are different, but that's the point.
Right.
You can be Sidney Brown and get through protocol and freaking essentially, he was fine 2 days after. Obviously, you got to go through the process, and he's back in a week. And then again, the worst case scenario, most players miss a week. Worst case scenario, Tua type situation where you have the fencing and all that kind of stuff. Much more serious.
Even Tua, though, didn't he miss 4 or 5 weeks?
Yeah.
I mean, Jalen's approaching 3. I didn't think his concussion was nearly as bad as that, but
he didn't miss last week because of concussion, but they won't admit it. And right. I don't know why they won't admit it.
I know. Yeah, it's weird. Anyway, John, let's move on because we're positive Jalen Hurts is going to be back today, right?
99%.
99%. So Jalen Hurts should set the return today. We'll get the update on that later on as John's down. We'll be down there at the NovaCare complex. So stay tuned for those updates. I'll make a little breaking news video on the channel, just a short one, and post it up once I get the update. So stay locked in on JAKIB Sports channel, and I will keep all of you guys updated. I want to welcome and thank everybody in here this morning already. I'm awake. What's going on? Cody K, Yale, Perez, Abe's in here, Eduardo, Kenny P. We appreciate each and every one of you guys. Don't forget to hit that like button for us. And if you're watching after the fact, leave your comment down below. I'll be sure to respond to you down there. And if you're listening on the podcast, we appreciate you for listening on the podcast. We get about 1,000 of you strong a day. So big thanks to all of our podcast listeners for downloading. Make sure you guys leave a review if you're joining the show. John, I went back and I rewatched the week 1 game of the Eagles and the Packers last night. And then I did some more watching of the Packers and how they progressed. The week 1 game, I don't know if there's ever been an instance of it being the same teams, but 2 completely different teams.
Yeah, it's not even.
There's almost nothing relevant in that game. No, Vic Fangio was running a completely different defense. We were running a completely different offense. Everything in that game looked completely different than the way both of these football teams have looked in the latter part of the year.
Yeah, I wouldn't pay too much attention to that week 1 game.
Yeah, there's not much to take from it.
No, I would dispute that Vic's not playing a different defense. It just looks different. But,
it looks different, yeah.
Yeah. The offense has completely changed. And then from Green Bay's perspective, same type of thing. Different, evolution, but, they've gotten better defensively since week 1. Offensively, they're probably worse, to be honest. So, yeah, completely different teams. But, other than you look at the players and see, what can Jordan Love do? What can the playmakers do and things like that? That obviously stays the same. But, yeah, I wouldn't put too much into that week 1 game.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mentioned to you, I went back and watched a little bit of Packers Jordan Love was playing pretty good before he got banged up. He missed a couple games, but in his last 6 games where he started start to finish, he had 9 touchdowns, no picks. So he was kind of in a similar mode of Jalen. You talked about that. These two
Weird.
teams
are weird.
Are eerily similar. Yeah, they have
Yeah.
Quarterbacks that they've almost taken the ball out of their hands a little bit more. Listen to this stat: the Eagles are 31st in passing attempts this year and first in runs. The Packers are 30th in passing attempts this year and 6th in the running attempts. So both of these offenses, John, have become a run-first offense. And, the other thing about that Packers team, and you've talked about this a lot, I don't really think it matters that they lost Christian Watson. I know a lot of people, I know he's a good player. I'm not saying he's not a good player, but if you watch them, they spread the ball to so many. It's like they have a bunch of guys who are a little bit above middle of the pack, and they can get the ball to all of them. Romeo Dobbs, obviously Jaden Reed, who had a big game against us in week 1. He's their number 1 receiver. So I don't really think Watson's a huge loss, other than that they kind of lost their deep threat.
Yeah, he's a significant deep threat, but I thought, and I hope he's okay. He had a very serious knee injury, but I kind of chuckled when everybody's, whoa, what a big injury. I mean, he's not a big part of their offense. Now, for a number of reasons, mainly he's been injury prone over the years. He's also, prone to drops. So he's not a volume guy, which I explained yesterday on the show. I don't even think he has 30 receptions on the year. So he's not a big part of their offense. And for whatever reason, because I think people watch too much Red Zone, and when he does make a play, it's usually down the field.
Right.
I think they envision more than what he really is. The key guys are Reed, Dobbs, and Wicks. And they're all good. I would argue they're better than above average.
Yeah. I think Romeo Dobbs is kind of a sleeper too. He's the guy who had a huge.
I think Reed's the best.
Jaden Reed's definitely the best. He's having their best year, and he's an explosive player.
And Wicks was the one who dropped all the balls in week 1. I think he had 3 drops. So he's improved since then, to say the least. And then Bo Melton will be the guy that steps up, and you're not going to have much of a difference because Christian Watson isn't in the game, other than the 1 or 2 deep shots where they might take to him. And it's not like the other guys can't get deep. It's just not, they don't have that similar type of long speed. But the key part is they don't throw it anyway, which is bizarre. Similar to what I say in Philadelphia.
Right.
I don't know what Matt LaFleur is trying to accomplish. Now the Eagles have had more success, so it's easier to write off their shift in offensive philosophy. I still don't like it, but I understand it. Green Bay's like, they seem to play the way the Eagles play. Run the football, run the football, run the football. But they get behind what I've been talking about with the Eagles, my concern. Watch the Packers and you see it. And then you're behind, and then you got to throw it, and then you're one-dimensional, and they do a good job coming back usually. It's just bizarre the way they play.
Yeah, they had that one game versus the Vikings. I think they were down 28-0.
28-0. And they almost came back.
And they almost came back. That's right, yeah.
Yeah. And the game's over, and they go, oh, we got to speed it up. And then it's like score.
It's weird. It's weird. I think that's the one thing that the Packers have shown that the Eagles haven't, and it's not a knock on the Eagles. They just haven't had to show it, but the Packers have had to come from down big scores this year. The Eagles haven't really been down like that, so they haven't had a chance to. I'm not saying they can't do it, but they haven't.
That's why it's understandable,
right?
Why the Eagles haven't done it. When they shifted, and Saquon's having such a good year, and Josh Jacobs is a great player, but he's not Saquon Barkley. So it's more understandable why the Eagles do it. I still don't like it, but it's more understandable. And hopefully Jalen Hurts' words don't come to fruition. And you might not know until you get got, is basically paraphrasing what he said.
Right.
And hopefully they don't get got by the way they play.
Boy, that comment will be ringing on the airwaves all off season, John, if they get got, as Jalen put it.
And Green Bay's already gotten got, and they haven't learned from it. So that's a big reason why I like the Eagles in this game. They don't seem to learn from the issues.
Right. I don't know if it's the trying to look at this as objectively as possible, but I mean, I really do think that the Eagles have such an advantage in this game. I know that I'm not saying Green Bay is not a good team and they are a sleeper team. Like, I think they are capable of winning the game. They are capable of winning the game, but with some of their injuries, with the Eagles being as healthy as they are, all 22 starters from week 1 are going to be in this game. The number 1 defense. I don't know if I see them being able to hang with us. I'm not saying it's going to be a blowout, but I'm starting to lean more toward a comfortable win for the Eagles in this game, is assuming they can play like they have all year and manage the clock with the runs, and Saquon Barkley gets going, especially in that second half. And I think the Eagles should be able to handle business in this game.
Well, they should win the game. I'm not sure it's going to be comfortable. I think, as you explained, even if it's comfortable early, that might be to your detriment in a weird way, because then they'll come and they'll go tempo and start throwing the ball. You almost want to be winning 10-3, 17-13. Just keep it close and then close it out,
right?
Versus get up 14-0 and then they abandon the running game. In a weird way, I think that would be a detriment. Because I'm telling you, when they start throwing it and they get clicking, they're tough to deal with.
Yep, no doubt about it. Jordan Love is a streaky player, but when he is at his best, he is a really good player, man. He can sling that rock. So we'll see how it goes. We got Mike Gill in the green room. So we'll have 2 great guests today. Everybody will have Mike Gill and BLJ. And then a look ahead to tomorrow. We got 2 great guests tomorrow. We got Gary Cobb, former Eagle, and then we'll have Thomas Mott. Many of you know Thomas Mott. He's been on the show before. He's crushing it on YouTube. So we'll talk to Thomas Mott tomorrow. And then we have BLG and Mike Gill today. So 4 great guests coming up for you guys in the next 4 hours of content. So stay locked in on the channel. We'll be right back here on Birds 365. Before I get to the break, let me tell you guys about the great people at BetUS. Go and check them out. You can see the promo code on your screen. It's YouTube 150. Gives you 150% sign-up bonus on your very first deposit. And you get 125% on your second and third deposit, all up to $2,000. So deposit less and bet with more at BetUS. That's betus.com.pa. betus.com.pa. They have the fastest payouts in the industry, 24/7 customer support, and they'll even give you your own custom account manager. Who's betting on the Birds for the Super Bowl, everybody? Go and do it now at BetUS. We'll be back in 3 minutes on Birds 365.
Ignite.